Hello guys, it is Gate of Theories here, and today we are back talking about everyone's favourite show, Riverdale. And recently, Season 4 has now technically ended, even though it was cut 3 episodes short, and we all know that we're going to have to wait quite a while now, unfortunately, before we get to Season 5, which is going to fill in those last few episodes from Season 4, and then fully go on to a brand new season, and we all just can't wait. However, recently in the news, lots and lots of stuff has been happening with Riverdale, especially with the Black Lives Matter protests, and it sparked up a few questions about the show and whether it really is doing what it should be. And recently, the whole last season didn't exactly sit as well with most fans. Some really loved it, don't get me wrong. But there was some, myself included, who just thought it didn't feel exactly like the Riverdale show that we have all grown to love. And considering Cole Sprouse has literally confirmed that he is going to be on for Season 6 and Season 7, so that's like at least 7 seasons, 3 more seasons at least to go. It's not going away anytime soon. We're going to need to make sure that this new Riverdale that we're about to get is what we all want. Because if it's anything like Season 4... I have a feeling that very soon the fanbase is just going to start decreasing ever so slowly. So today we're going to look about how Riverdale can all be fixed. We're going to discuss all the different points, and I've made a sort of top 10 list about the 10 things that we need to make sure that Riverdale is fixed so that we all love it again like we all used to. But before we go any further, please make sure that you click that red subscribe button down below and have your notifications turned on so that you get notified whenever we make a brand new Riverdale video. But before we go any further, I just want to make it clear that I do love Riverdale, and I did really like what they did with Season 4. I thought it was pretty interesting, the whole Jughead mystery, and I did really like it, except from there were just a few bits that I wish had been added or I wish had been taken out of the season that were similar to the first few seasons that made me love it so much. So today, that's what we're going to be discussing. If you want to see what I thought about Riverdale Season 4, I've got a full review up there by clicking the card, or there will be a link down below in the description. So, for number 10, bring back the Southside Serpents and the Pretty Poisons. These groups were major roles throughout Season 1, 2, and 3, and it looked like they were never going to go away. And the reason for that is because we all loved them. That's how we really got into Jughead Jones. It was because he was a Southside Serpent, and there was so much tension between the Pretty Poisons and the Southside Serpents before them coming together. There was tension between the north side of Riverdale and the south side of Riverdale. These are the stuff that we really, really love. And I know they were sort of resolved a bit, but then in Season 4, they were just like gone for some reason. There was a few characters here and there who belonged to the Serpents, but they didn't actually do anything, considering that the past 3 seasons had focused very heavily on them a lot. And especially how, since during the early parts of Season 4, FP Jones was the sheriff, he said that the Serpents were going to help with them, and that was all being built up in Season 3. However, in Season 4, they're just completely forgotten about, and it just didn't really make sense, the fact that when Jughead and Betty needed to defeat Stonewall, usually they'd come in and bring the Serpents. That's what they tried to do with, like, the Black Hood, that's what they tried to do with the Gargoyle King. And then this time, they just went and did it themselves without the Serpents probably even knowing. Like, where were they? Bring them back. Coming into number 9, we have make Cheryl badass again, and not just a weird, deluded person. Because Cheryl Blossom is one of the best characters. At first, I wasn't really sure whether I really liked her with the whole Season 1, but then Season 2, Season 3, she became a brilliant character. We all loved her with her bow and arrow. There are some scenes from Season 3 where she is just the best character in that scene with her bow and arrow, completely being a badass and defeating all of the bad guys. Maybe it was because she went to the farm that now she's a bit more deluded, but in Season 4, she literally does nothing at all. There's this strange story with the Jason doll, and she thinks she's being haunted, and she gets really attached to this doll. Like, that, you can't tell me that the Cheryl that was shooting bow and arrows is the same Cheryl as the one in Season 4 who's obsessed with a doll who looks like her twin brother. Just doesn't make any sort of sense. In number 8, we have stop with the Hyrum Lodge stuff. Seriously, it's getting old. Basically, in Season 2, Hyrum Lodge was properly introduced, and you could tell he was sort of like a villain, and We all really loved that storyline. Season 3 carried on a bit with him always trying to take down Archie, and there was always this tension between Veronica and her father, whether Veronica was going to choose Archie or whether she was going to choose her father. However, now it's still going along somehow. I don't understand why, but it's always the exact same story. It's always Veronica thinks of a business, Hyrum tries to stop it, they get in a fight, and then they make up. And then the whole cycle repeats, and it worked for like season 2 and season 3 because it had a bit of variety in it, but now season 4, it's just getting old. Like, there's really no point for it to be there, so just get rid of it. Coming into number 7, we have give Archie more of a character in the next season. Because season 1, 2, and 3 really built up Archie's character. You could tell this was some huge character development going on from this young person who wanted to be a singer to then being in charge of taking down the Black Hood and then becoming a boxer and being sent to juvie. It was just so much character development. You really connected with this character. And don't get me wrong, at the beginning of season 4, with the fact that Fred Andrews died, there was a bit of character development, and then for the second half of season 4, there was absolutely nothing. He literally just didn't exist, and the only reason why he was in the episodes was to become Betty's new love interest. That was it. So the main character of the show literally just lost all of his character development. We don't want that, so we want that to be brought back in season 5. Coming into number 6, we have no strange side plots. Seriously, Riverdale season 4 must have lost ideas by now, because the side plots they were giving were strange. We've already touched on the weird Jason doll. Don't even get me started on the tickling videos. It was just strange seeing Kevin and lots of other people from Riverdale High, such as Reggie and Tony, all get involved in these tickling videos that literally had nothing to do with the plot, and they were just there to fill time and to distract you from the Jughead death story, and it just did not work. And coming into number 5, speaking of plots, have the plots all linked together somehow. Because in the previous seasons, if a side plot was going to happen, at least it would link in somehow. For example, in season 3, you had the main plot of the Gargoyle King, but there was the side plot of the farm with Betty, and that all somehow linked. However, in season 4, maybe it's because we never got the finale, but literally none of the plots linked. They were all completely separate. You had, like I said, the tickling videos, you had Jughead death story, you had Archie and his father, you had Veronica and the Maple business, and none of them linked whatsoever. They were just all separate storylines. I want something that's going to link so that we can say, oh yeah, maybe that relates to that and that relates to that. But no, they were just completely separate in season 4. We need to fix that for season 5. Coming into 4th place, we have fix the dialogue. Don't get me wrong, some teen shows have strange dialogue in. Riverdale especially, though. There are some serious awkward moments in this show. And this isn't just for season 4. This is for all of the seasons. Some of the stuff they say, I know they're dealing with like the Black Hoods and Gargoyle Kings, but some of the stuff they say is just not natural and you would not say it. There is some really awkward moments, and lots of Riverdale's dialogue has just been turned into memes now, and it's just getting ridiculous. They've really fixed this. For example, Jughead's I'm a weirdo. We don't want a repeat of that at all. Coming into 3rd place, we have don't have the characters so separated. I touched on this a bit before, where all the plots weren't really linking, and that was mainly due to the fact that all these characters were in completely separate places. Jughead in season 4 was living in Stonewall Prep, so he wasn't even in Riverdale. Betty sometimes went with Jughead, but I didn't even see one scene really with Betty and Veronica and where they just focused in it. Archie, like I said, didn't really have any sort of character development in this season and was like completely separate to most of the plot, and the only other time where the characters really joined together was for the Jughead death scenario, and that was about it. Everything else was completely separate. And we didn't want that. I really loved in season 1 where they all worked together to try and find out who killed Jason Blossom. Whereas in this season, they were just completely separate. And it was really only Jughead and Betty who were together. And speaking of Jughead and Betty, coming into number 2, don't always make the entire show about Jughead and Betty. Don't get me wrong, I love Bughead as much as anyone else does. Except from season 4, literally went overboard with it. Like I was saying before, Archie was barely in it, Veronica was barely in it, lots of the other characters were barely in it, so much so that they had to come up with these strange plots, for example, the tickling videos, all because the entire season just focused on Betty and Jughead. And I loved the storyline. I loved the fact that Jughead almost died, and I thought it was a brilliant mystery, and I really did love that, except from it mainly always focused on Jughead and Betty, and it just made every other character look really stupid. So I don't want that. Make sure that we have an even amount of spread between the characters, especially considering that it's Archie's show. Like, the show comes from the Archie comics, so why they're making Jughead the most popular character, I will never know. And finally, coming into number 1, we have more diversity. And this is, of course, what's been kicked off during the news in the past few weeks with the whole Black Lives Matter protest. We strongly agree with the protests here at Gate of Theories before I go any further. And this all started when one of the cast members, Vanessa Morgan, who plays Tony Topaz, decided to speak out about how she's been treated on the set of Riverdale and how she feels that things need to change about her character and her role on Riverdale. And she said, "Tired of how black people are portrayed in media, tired of us being portrayed as thugs, dangerous or angry, scary people, tired of us also being used as a sidekick, non-dimensional characters to our white leads, or only used in the ads for diversity but not actually in the show. It starts with the media. I'm not being quiet anymore." And this all relates to the fact that Tony in season 4 literally was not in it, and I completely agree with Vanessa's statement there, because it was basically her just being around Cheryl and all the action happening with Cheryl, and she was basically not really in the season whatsoever. And the writers and producers of Riverdale have responded saying that they need to make a change, that they're going to make change. They may even bring back the Pussycats from season 1, because literally from season 1 onwards there really hasn't been that much black representation apart from in the ads or in a minor role, whereas the white people have all got a huge role. So that needs to be changed, and that is the most important thing to fix about Riverdale, and hopefully in season 5 it's looking hopeful that this will change. But anyway, guys, that is the end of the video. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, make sure that you smash that like button down below and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Tell us in the comment section down below all your thoughts about how we can fix Riverdale Season 5 and Season 6 and Season 7 and however many seasons there are in the future. Tell us down below what you think of Riverdale Season 4, whether you thought it was good or whether you think lots of things needed to be fixed, and make sure that you leave any more of your ideas on how to fix the show all down there. And as always, we've been here at Gate of Theories. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.